time. The dust has settled. Eddie Hearn has come and gone. But the big fight coming up, of course, is just around the corner in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. On the 21st of this month, it's live on talkSPORT. And it's Tyson Fury going in again against Oleksandr Usyk. Can Fury get the win this time that so many fight fans want to see? This was Eddie Hearn's pre-fight take on that.
I think it's difficult for anybody to pick Tyson Fury to win the fight with a level head. I mean, I think it's going to be an incredibly close fight. I think the last one was as well. But I just think with what we saw from Usyk in the first fight, with his ability to digest information, and I think it's very difficult to pick against him. I want Fury to win. I think he's capable of winning. I think he's going to have to do something extraordinary, which we've seen him do before. But I think with a level head, it's very difficult to not pick Oleksandr Usyk in this fight. But I'm hoping that the big man can do something special. Can he do it at this stage of his career? Is he getting a little bit war-torn? I mean, I think both of them probably are. But what we saw, I thought the first fight would be a stinker.
That was Eddie Hearn just moments ago with Simon and myself and Spencer live on the show. So it's hard to think that anyone with a level head would pick Tyson Fury. Tyson's UK promoter Frank Warren joins us live. What's your take on that, Frank? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jim. Good afternoon, Simon. Well, I've not got a level head. So, I think Tyson will win it, and I think he'll stop him.
Yeah, it's interesting, Frank, isn't it? Because I think, look, after the first fight, yes, it was a close fight, but Oleksandr Usyk did win that fight, and I think that the $1 million question is, can Tyson Fury rediscover some of that form that he had a few years back? And I think that's why people are saying Usyk will start the favourite, just going on last performances.
Yeah, well, Tyson's used to that. You know, when he fought Wilder the first time, the other guy was the favourite. When he fought Klitschko, Klitschko was the favourite. When he fought Wilder the second time, Wilder was favourite. So he's used to that. That's bookmakers' opinions. For me, you know, as you just said, there was nothing in the fight. I thought he just nicked it, but there was nothing in that fight. It was a split decision. And what people, you know, as much the standout round, obviously, for anybody who's watching it, was the 9th round when Tyson was in trouble. And he was in trouble, but he recuperated and come out, and Usyk couldn't finish the job in the next round or the round after. And the last round, Tyson won that last round, even on all the judges' scorecards, and he was struggling a bit as far as what was going on, Usyk. And I'd said to you before, I went in the dressing room afterwards, and out the two of them, he was the guy who looked like he actually, although he won it on the judges' cards, he didn't look like the winner. Usyk's a great fighter. He's a really good fighter. I've got all the utmost respect for him. I look at the early part of the fight. I look at Tyson when he caught him a couple of times and hurt him, and he needs to do that. And he can't. They know they can both hurt each other, but I think Tyson knows what he's got to do, and I think that there'll be none of the showboating as there was in the last fight, and I think it'd be a real professional performance, and I expect him to do what he did to Wilder in the second fight.
So Frank, where are we now? We're at December the 12th. The fight's on December the 21st, just around the corner in Saudi. How is Tyson? Where is Tyson? What's his mindset?
Well, he's okay. He's training well. Reports from the camp are that he's really in a good place. Mentally, he's in a good place. He's focused on this fight. He's got a very small camp. He's not got as many people as he's had there before. And he's basically switched his phone off, and he's not taking calls from anybody. He's just focusing, and mentally, he's switched on to one thing, and that's beating Usyk.
Yeah, Tyson Fury coming very light for that last fight, Frank, and I think that was to try and match Oleksandr Usyk for speed and mobility. That didn't work for him. In the second fight against Wilder, in the second fight against Wilder, he come in heavy, and that was very, very effective for him. He's great in rematches, Tyson Fury. Is the game plan to come in heavy again?
He'll come in at what weight he feels comfortable at, Spence. You know, I don't agree with this. I mean, I don't like guys coming in heavy for the sake of coming in heavy. You know, I like guys to be, if you're coming in at a weight where you're mobile, and that's the art of boxing, is being mobile, the art of hitting and not being hit. And he's the great exponent of that. I mean, he's a good boxer, Tyson, a very, very good fighter. And if he's fully concentrated, fully focused, as you've seen in the past, he's a handful for anyone. Look, he's been on the floor in quite a few fights in his last few fights. That's a fact of life. But Usyk has been hurt in his last few fights as well. Whatever way you want to look at it, legitimate or not, he was seriously hurt in that fight against Daniel Dubois, and Tyson wobbled him a couple of times. And the end of that 7th round, he looked in trouble. And most people sitting at ringside, certainly where I was, thought that Tyson was going to stop him, but he came out and got back into the fight. But they can hurt each other. They can both hurt each other. It depends who's learned the most from being in the ring, sharing that ring for 12 rounds, looking at their strengths and respective strengths and weaknesses, and more importantly, who can capitalise on that? Who's got the ability still to do that? Because as you said earlier on, they're not young guys now.
Yeah.
And it will be an exciting fight. There's no doubt about it. Like the first one was, I don't know, I heard Eddie saying about he thought it was going to be a boring fight. I never thought that for 1 minute. And I certainly don't think this one will be either. This is going to be excitement.
It will be. Frank, here's Simon.
For what it's worth, Frank, for what my opinion's worth, I think I'm agreeing with you that I think Fury will win it. But the big X factor is that Tyson's coming back in on the back of something that he's never experienced before, which is a loss. So we've seen Tyson come back. I think he won the first fight against Wilder that was given a draw, but we've never seen him having to come back in to any fight at any time during his career, professional career, on the back of a loss. That's the factor that we can't play into this conversation, how the ramifications of that will reverberate. Are we going to? Do you think we're seeing a more determined Fury as a result of the loss?
I think he's really determined, and I think that spur him on. But I don't think it's, I think it's pride more than anything that's with him. He's not. I don't think it's even the titles or the 3 belts on the line. He wants to avenge that. He felt he won the fight, and as I said, I thought he just nicked it. But it was a very close fight, irrespective of. I'm not going to get into arguments. Somebody thinks this, somebody thinks that. It was a close fight. It was a split decision, and the 9th round had that 9th round not happened on 2 judges' cards, he would have been the winner. So, it was.
The ref helped him out, though, Frank,
was.
didn't he?
Sorry?
The ref helped him out in that 9th round.
He didn't help him out at all. How did he help him out?
Because I think he enabled Tyson to get some recovery time in, because I think Usyk would have stopped him.
In what way did he enable him? The bell went. He was still on his feet.
He didn't give him a count, did he?
Well, why should he give him a count? He never got knocked down.
Well, by getting in the way of it, he stopped by getting in the way of it. He stopped Usyk. My recollection of the fight, and it might be wrong, so I might stand to be corrected. My recollection of the fight is the referee got in the way of Usyk stopping him, not the bell getting in the way of stopping him.
Well, I don't know about it. Mark Nelson is a very experienced referee. And
did you think that, Spence?
Well, yeah, listen, it was one of those that he was on his way down at the time and the referee jumped in.
That's my point.
And yeah, but then I think the referee, it was one of those where the referee makes a decision and he's thinking Tyson Fury's going down, but he bounced off the rope and didn't actually touch down. That was the point of it.
But it was the bell part of it.
The only way you get counted if both your gloves touch the floor. That's when the referee starts counting, and his gloves never touch the floor. But more importantly, and we've seen Tyson in a few fights where he's gone down, his recuperative powers, and he comes back.
But the referee getting in the way of that, Frank, possibly stopped Tyson from touching down. And Spencer's also saying the bell was part of it as well. So
I think the referee's point was the referee thought he was going down, but the bottom rope saved him from going down, and that was where people are getting the controversy comes up.
Sorry, and then the
bell did ring, yes.
But the fact of the matter is, history tells us that Usyk won the fight. Frank, here's the thing. In 2025, are we going to see Fury against AJ? Or, if Tyson wins on the 21st of this month, are we going to see the trilogy with Usyk?
If Tyson comes through, I'm sure, providing neither of them retire, they'll see a trilogy.
Providing neither of them retires.
Yeah, well, listen, boxers can retire. The loser may want to retire.
Yeah.
I can't. I can't. Who knows what they're going to do? Maybe. I mean, neither of them need to fight on. They're very wealthy guys. They're only doing it now. I mean, obviously they get paid if they have another fight, but the main reason they're doing it is because they're fighting men. They don't need to fight for money, that's for sure.
But win or lose for Tyson, you don't think that's on his mind, do you?
I don't know what's on his mind. So until the fight happens, Jim, it depends the result of the fight and what happens in the fight. And you know, and I'm not as much as I like to be a mind reader. If I was, I'd be whacking a large lump of money on one of them. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, it's who knows what's going to happen after. You know, boxing's a unique sport, and there comes a time where enough's enough for some fighters. So we'll see what happens. I'm not saying make it clarify. I'm not saying he's going to retire, nor is Usyk retire. That'll be their decisions, but who knows?
Well, Frank, we've been watching you live on YouTube and Facebook, and you're obviously in the back of a very posh car, probably in the Knightsbridge area, buying Simon and myself and Spencer our Christmas presents. What have you got us?
I am, fellas. I'm just going into Victoria's Secrets for you.
Frank,
excellent. Frank, I don't wear that stuff anymore, Frank.
Frank, I believe I'm seeing you tonight.
That's not what I've heard, Jim.
Frank, I believe I'm seeing you tonight at a private screening, actually, of Usyk versus Fury. So looking forward to that one, mate. You're doing a Q&A, is that right?
Yeah, at BAFTA. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Oh, it may not be interesting. I don't know.
You bet it'll be. With you there, of course it will be. Frank, thank you very much indeed. Frank Warren with us live this lunchtime, as we clearly have a bunch of things to deny.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.